we go. Look at you, Robert Taylor.
Oh,
Better than Bobby the Chief Taylor. Look at you, you technical savant, you.
you know what? It's getting to the point that I'm going to be on call night and day to help people.
Well, I hope it's not too bad. I hope it goes up from here because we always have a good time, you and I. Chief, thanks so much for joining us today. It looks beautiful out there, man. You home?
Yeah, I am. I'm out in the back here. I just walked my dogs, and the one is a black lab, so he always dives in the pool right after.
Oh,
so he can't get in while he's wet. So he's sitting here looking at me like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?"
What's going on, man? Lightning just signed Brandon Halverson to be their backup goaltender. I don't know what that necessarily means for a guy like Jonas Johansson, but you're bringing in a guy, signing him to a 2-year deal. Have you heard about that, Chief, or am I filling you in because it literally just happened?
Well, no, I did not know that. I know that name though. Where was he before?
He's been around the league for a while. I mean, he's a guy, I want to say he may have been with the Rangers in their system, been up and down. He's 28, Traverse City, Syracuse, Rangers, a lot of time, in the Sioux and Greenville, Hartford. He's been that Orlando Solar Bears. But for a guy like this, Chief, I forget about it. We don't have to necessarily go into the nuts and bolts. 6'5", 209. Don't necessarily know what that means kind of for the future for a guy like Johansson. But I want to ask you, being a backup goalie, I was just saying it before you joined us, it's got to be one of the more difficult kind of positions in all of sports because you're not a priority. You're not a priority. It's just like, hey, man, our guys, we're going to give you a chance once every how many games, or, our guy's getting crapped on. He just gave up 5 goals in the first period. All right, go ahead and do your best. Like, it's such a weird thing to be on call at all times. What kind of mindset does that have to take? I know it's different because you didn't play as much back in the day being a backup, but now, I mean, it's got to be a wild job.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, the biggest problem is the mental part. And, like back in the day, I don't know, with the cap and all the drills and up and down, how you could go. Hey, I'll tell you a quick story about what happened to me one time. Like, Bernie Perrant would never play in Boston. So I always had to play against the Bruins. And what they would do, they would send me down for 2 weeks to the minors almost every year to get my game sharp and then come back up, and I'd sit for 6 weeks. So, yeah, go figure. So we played in Anaheim, I believe, on a Friday, and then we came back for a afternoon game in Boston, and I was playing in Boston. And, of course, NBC was Tim Ryan and Ted Lindsay were calling the games back in those days. And they were promoting the big bad Bruins against the Broad Street Bullies, Bobby Orr against Bobby Clark and yada, yada, yada. They're going all this. Well, they find out that I'm starting. They came out of the booth, Ryan and Lindsay, and all the press guys to the old Boston Garden, and they're all trying to find Freddie Shero to find out what the hell they're doing, and they looked all over him. He's sitting on the Zamboni having a Camel.
Cigarette.
Yeah, and they're yelling at him, "What are you doing starting this kid Taylor? We've been promoting this and da going through it." This went on for a couple of minutes. And finally Freddie gives it this one with his glasses. He says, "It's his turn." Hadn't played in 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
So that's a little bit too drastic, because of all the travel and all the teams and the number of games you play back to back, like you're playing 4 games in a week.
Right.
You got to give the number one guy a rest in that. So for me, it's more of a mental thing. You have to really be strong mentally and really have to prepare mentally, and you have to take it. You have to play a practice almost like it's a game, because you're getting 200 to 300 shots in a practice, and they could care less if they score a 200 on them on you. But you have to pretend that it isn't. It's a game. That's what tries to keep you sharp.
Chief, do you think it's less difficult or more difficult to back up a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky rather than a guy that's, let's just say, like a middle of the road net minder?
It depends on your relationship personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bernie Perrant was the best goalie in the world at that time. And, Ben and I had a great rapport. We were each other's biggest cheerleaders. And, and I get the impression that Johansson seems to be a pretty calm guy, and more of a team type of a personality than some other guys would be in the same situation. We moaning and groaning. They wanted to get traded. I got to play more, yada, yada, yada. Johansson doesn't seem like that to me. So if he and Vasi have a great rapport, it's fine. And because the other guy will pull for you too, because if you can play well, that means the number one gets a little bit more rest.
Right. Or you can parlay that into a starting job somewhere else, right? Like if you play that well, I mean, you want to be a starter in the league, and that's, just keep playing well when your number is called. Chief, a lot.
Don't know what I did, but I just don't see you moving in there, Jake.
Good? Good now? Can you hear me? Chief, are you there?
Huh.
All right, hold on. Let me pull you out, pull you back in. You back? Oh, he's out.
Hello?
Chief, you there? Oh, boy.
Did I lose you?
No, I got you. Can you hear me? We had him for 6 good minutes. Oh, Chief, you there?
Hello?
Chief. All right, I'm going to text him. I'm going to tell him go back out.
Hello?
Oh, man. All right, I'm going to kick him out. Kick from the studio. Kicked him out. All right, go back in. Click back on. We had him. We'll keep him for a couple more minutes. Chief, listen, he's doing a great job. I want to get him back here because I want to talk about the Lightning Hall of Fame. Brian Bradley and Rick Peckham. He's doing such a great job. The internet's got to be, you're on the water there. It's got to be beautiful. So we're going to try it. Just the fact that Chief did this, because I know he hates doing it. Crap, he has Spectrum internet. I actually have Spectrum, and I love Spectrum. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I think Spectrum does a good job. So, but I guess it all depends on where you're at, because I know certain people, they don't like it. They'll do Frontier or whatever it is. They're trying to do that in our apartment complex here. Everybody on Frontier and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm keeping Spectrum. And also because the Lightning games with the FanDuel Sports Network. And I'm a cable guy. I'm not one of those people that are cutting the cord. We're keeping them in.
There you go.
There we go, pal. I got you back. All right. I want to ask you about the Hall of Fame class of 2025. Brian Bradley, Rick Peckham. Just incredible. 2 guys you know really well. I saw the pictures from last night at Fleming's. You guys look like you had a blast. Just talk about those 2 guys, because, my goodness, they well-deserved induction for both of those gentlemen.
Well, I'll start with Brad's. One of the things that's really important, and, when you and I sit up in that press box, and I tell you a lot of times players are never put in the right position to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And before Brad's got here in expansion, he hardly played in Toronto. He played a little bit in Calgary. He was almost like Marty St. Louis when he first came here. When Marty was such a great offensive player in college, but when he went to Calgary, he was like a 4th liner. They wanted him to check. So his skills weren't suited to that. Mm-hmm. Brad's was like around the same thing. So when he came here, he became the number 1 center. And he got his power play time. He got a lot of extra ice time, and he took advantage of it. He really played well. And, Brad's, he's always upbeat too. He's one of those guys that, golly gee whiz, wow. And it's infectious, really. When you're around people like that, it's very hard to be angry.
How does he still have that Canadian accent after all these years, Brad?
I know.
Thick as thieves right there.
Yeah.
Hey, got cool, John. Shoot the puck here, bud. I might want to mix in the water, bud.
Yeah.
He's something else. And how about Ricky Peckham, the wedge master?
Oh, my God. You can't believe how good he is with that wedge. Drives me nuts. Anyway, but he, when one of the things that always amazed me, you couldn't talk to him or bother him during warm-up. Because if we were playing a West Coast team, which you saw once a year, he would concentrate on that just in the warm-up of every player on that team. And then when he did a game, he never misread a player. He always had the guy right on. I don't know how they do that, because I can remember one time when I was in Philly, our play-by-play guy had to do an on-ice thing, and he'd come up to the booth, and I had to do the first minute or two. And ironically, we were playing in L.A., and the only guy that I really knew and knew his number was Luc Robitaille. So Luc Robitaille had a 2-minute shift there. He,
Oh.
he never got off the ice.
Number 20, the left winger. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
him. I know him.
exactly. Yeah, he never got off the ice. But they move so fast, and those guys are incredible how they pick them up just like that. And I asked them about that one time, and you know what number or whether they think they'd see the back of the player because the number's so big. It's the one on the sleeve.
Yeah.
Because the one on the sleeve doesn't get hidden as much as the one on the back.
Right. And I think it's the mannerisms too. A righty, a lefty,
Yeah.
color of the stick, kind of helmet. Like it's those little nuances that
and how they skate.
Yeah, how they skate.
Skate.
It's amazing, man. Chief,
Yeah.
what do you got? What do you want to see from this Lightning team before the Four Nations break? A couple of games before they have some time off. I mean, you've told me for many, many years, and it was so funny, not funny, but ironic that you and Phil, before the sweep in 2019, you would always tell me, Jay, it's not about how many you score, it's about how many you keep out. What do you want to see over these next couple of games so that they go into the break on a high note?
I would like to see their effort there more in every game. Like I don't think, and they even said it themselves, I don't think they had that good of an effort against the Islanders. They weren't as hard on the puck. They weren't as aggressive on the puck carrier. You've got to have. There's one thing that a player can do that you can maybe have a different system. You can do this. You got different line mates, whatever. But your ability to work hard, you control. And I think that's what they have to do. I think you got 4 games left, and all of them. And for me, it's making sure that you bring with that effort all the time, because it's not all back to back, although except Saturday and Sunday it is. But
right.
You got 4 games in what, 6 days, but that effort has to be there. The consistent effort when they're playing hard, and when they got that, as you like talk about in the press box all the time. You get in on the forecheck and your puck retrieval. When they do that, they're very good. They keep teams in their own zone a long time, and I think for that, I'd like to see that on a consistent basis.
Chief, before I let you go, give me a quick story that you're allowed to tell on the air about Phil.
Oh my God! Well, the one was the best one I like is the one when he and Wayne Cashman were in Russia in that series in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And the Russians were dirty. I mean, they would sharpen the end of their stick and spear you like crazy.
Jeez.
Well, Cash got speared in the mouth. And I think he took something like 20 stitches in his lips, lost a couple of teeth, his tongue. And the worst thing was the ones in the tongue, because Cash mumbled anyway.
Oh, jeez.
So when he had the tongue, it was like... So they're actually sitting in their hotel room and they're having some vodka. They got a little high, a little ripped up.
Yeah.
So they started thinking, this was when James Bond was really big.
Mm-hmm.
They said, there's got to be bugs in the room. So they were checking the whole hotel for bugs. They actually found one.
Oh,
it was in a light. But then they're sitting on the floor. They find one, and there's a big lump there. And they said, this is the mother lode. This is the one that controls all the bugs. They pull the rug back, and they see, she says, let's unscrew it. So they I don't know what they did, how they got it, but somebody had a pocket knife or something. They unscrewed it. And it was the chandelier from the ballroom below.
Oh, my God.
That's the funniest story. When you have Phil tell it, he just embellishes it like crazy. And you're crying, laughing all the way through it. He says, the only bad thing about it is they charged me $2,400 for the damn light.
Oh, my God. We do have a lot of fun up in the press box. People ask me a lot of questions. But, I mean, for all the stuff that we talk about for the games, like, I mean, when we look back on our time during the intermissions and just kind of shooting the breeze up there really is nothing like that. It's such a pleasure for me to be a fly on the wall for some of the stories that you guys have. But for you, I mean, when you walk out there after you do your hit in the intermissions and you see us, like, like some crazy shit is about to be spoken about.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. Phil and I always say the luckiest thing for us back when we played is that there was no cell phones.
Yeah. That's right. You got that right. 100%.
We'd be in deep doo-doo if we had cell phones back then.
Nobody would have gave him money for that Lightning team. That's for sure.
I know,
the one and only Bobby the Chief Taylor. Chief, I appreciate your mentorship, your friendship. I wouldn't want to sit next to anybody in the press box, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you tomorrow night, partner.
You bet. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks.
All right, pal.